Well, if I go far enough back to that basketball was assumed to be netball, a game for women, exclusively. So there's quite a bit of education needed for the public at large and for aspiring participants of what the game is all about. So the 1956 Olympics was a great thing for us because it showed Australia what international basketball was like. That was the first experience in Australia of international basketball. The United States had a great team of players that went on to be national icons, and from that point on, the need to explain to people what the sport was about basically faded away. Well, it was pioneering. It was very exciting. I think our children were blessed by having the greatest playground in the world. It wasn't just basketball, it was badminton, table tennis, squash, rowing, football, hockey, tennis, all in your backyard. So the sporting environment was great for the kids, and also all of their playmates used to come to our place. We never had to worry where our kids were. When you're around youth and the excitement of the expectation of what might be happening tomorrow and the new challenges and the new standards that are being cultivated, well, if you can't relate to that, well then obviously you should be doing something else. And for me, being a player and enjoying the game as a competitor, it's been good for me to be able to, and a privilege for me to be able to continue in the sport in one role or another. Right now, of course, it's unique. We are the only club in Victoria that's existed since the Victorian Basketball Association was first formed back in 1931. So the origins of our club were there right at the start, and no one else can boast that. We sometimes refer to it, we're a bit like the mafia. Once you're in, you can't get out, you see. So that some of the players, and so whether it's Brett Brown who's been an assistant or Steve Whitehead who's playing in Sydney right now, Rob Sibley up in Brisbane, whilst they have moved on from us, there's still a sense of belonging. So whenever they finish what they're doing at present, come back home. If and when I won't be coaching our senior team, I'd like to continue a role with other levels of the competition. And so I get too much fun and satisfaction out of being part of it. Maybe there's a touch of selfishness there. This is good fun. Even though I don't get a cent for it, I'm still the last of the amateurs. And like I say, I'm privileged to be involved, and I hope that privilege has afforded me for as long as I can. Not possible. It's like trying to discriminate your love between your son or your daughter. Can't be done. And there are so many things that I've been privileged to experience. It's like a montage of events. And I think of things, not only the things that have been involved in basketball, but I get quite nostalgic when you see the highlights of sport around Olympics time. And whether it's Herb Elliott or Betty Cuthbert or John Landy, Dawn Fraser, Bob Beeman, who broke the long jump record at least, I was there. You know, in one way or another, it's been an extraordinary coincidence that between the basketball programs and going to the athletics or going to other events, I've been fortunate to have been around just so many highlights. And it's only when you get into conversation with us and when I say, do you remember, that your memory sparks up and get through it. A kaleidoscope of incredible events. You might say that we've had debates from time to time. It's not. It's never been emotional. There's never been any angst in any disagreements that we might have. I mean, there is never, I think, a relationship that's absolutely uniform in all points of view. And many times I seek out Andrew's advice because I'm either confused or ignorant, and he's able to assist in that regard. And that's reciprocated. You don't necessarily have to be ignorant or confused to seek out advice. It's in conversation, and you form opinions and you seek opinions. And so we have that relationship, and I think that is as much a tribute, I think, to whatever there is in the genes, but I think you've got to blame his mother for that. Andrew's always been pretty easygoing. He has a great sense of humour. He is a committed person in regard to his sport. He's always the first to training and last to leave. A coach's dream. There are players like that in just about every club. And once again, it's coincidentally happens to be related.
Tigers, for the first time in history, have won the NBL title.
Well, super effort from the Melbourne Tigers. Great scenes of jubilation. That emotion from Lindsay.
Look at the Gaze family. Lindsay and Andrew. Andrew just tears streaming down the face. Something they've wanted so badly for so long.
Well, it's one of those situations, for me, it was very special as well, not just for Andrew, but for the whole team. Because in sport, particularly team sports, you can have outstanding individuals who never experience the joy of a championship, the ultimate goal. And it's quite foreseeable in that situation at that time that it may never happen. So the emotions and the relief that experience was there for a group of players that had done a hell of a lot to try to achieve their goal, and especially when it was totally unexpected. You know, from a controversial start to the season, a lot of difficulty there, a lot of condemnation, and the team overcame considerable adversity against pretty much a lot of the odds to win what was a great championship. And so there was a lot of emotion in that. There's a lot of outpouring and relief at the finish of that to say, well, if it never happens again, at least it's happened once.
The Tigers, a marvellous victory, great emotion, great effort. They went so close last year against the Magic. It's all theirs here today to enjoy.